everybody, and welcome to another episode of Never Seen It. My name is Trent. I'm sitting here with Betsy.
Hi, everybody.
If you were not aware, this is a podcast where we talk about movies that we haven't seen yet, and today is no different. Betsy, we're at the end of the month of August. Where the fuck did summer go? And we're also at the end of our series, This Means War.
I don't know what happened this summer. I was like, I have so much time. I have all this free time. I could do so many things.
You're talking about free time. Betsy, I've been unemployed now for 3 months.
I know, and yet somehow the summer still flew by.
Jesus. So anyway, instead of talking about all of those things, we're going to talk about the Vietnam War once again, because we are covering Full Metal Jacket, a movie that was written and directed by one Stanley Kubrick. And if you can believe it, we've only ever covered on this show one Stanley Kubrick movie that was Eyes Wide Shut for one of our smut series. And I say this show because we actually covered another Kubrick movie on a different show that is, of course, What a Picture. We covered The Shining over on their show as an extra bonus added episode of Never Seen It because I had never seen The Shining before.
And it was a first-time watch for both of us when we did Eyes Wide Shut.
Yes.
We have not spent a lot of time with Stanley Kubrick.
Before we started this podcast, the only Kubrick movie I had ever seen is Dr. Strangelove.
Same for me, Trent. Well, I guess I had seen The Shining, but it was one time.
Still, we had to start a podcast in order to explore the world of Kubrick. But of course, Betsy, we're here today to talk about a different movie. We're here to talk about a war movie that neither of us have ever seen. Full Metal Jacket. What do you know about it?
I know precious little about this film. I could have surmised it was the Vietnam War, but I guess I wasn't even really 100% sure about that.
Yeah.
Because the only footage I've seen of this is at like boot camp. That's the thing that I know about this is we spend a lot of time with them at boot camp. So I'm going to go ahead and assume this is Stanley Kubrick's version of Stripes.
I have a feeling you're probably wrong in that assessment.
Am I though, Trent? I guess we're going to have to find out because just the little bit I know about it is we spend a lot of time at boot camp, and that one guy got nominated for an Oscar, I think. He might have even won.
The drill instructor?
Yeah, I think the drill sergeant got nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
Okay. Because at the very least, there's a lot of clips that have come out of this movie. And really the main reason why we're doing this movie and not another war movie to end it, it's because I get the movies Platoon and Full Metal Jacket completely mixed up in my brain because number one, I've never seen either of them up until now. And number two, this movie came out the year after Platoon. So I need to have them straight in my head so that I can actually, have a conversation about both of them intelligently anyway.
Yeah, on the surface, I don't think of these two in the same conversation, but it is interesting that they came out a year apart. They're both about Vietnam. They're both from very well-known directors, but obviously at this point in his career, Stanley Kubrick is way, way more famous than Oliver Stone is.
100%, and I know that he's going to come at this movie from a very different perspective. Oliver Stone, this is kind of based on his own experiences being in Vietnam.
Yeah, I don't know if Full Metal Jacket is going to be more like a satire because the stuff we've seen of his before this, you mentioned Dr. Strangelove. Dr. Strangelove is a comedy. Is he going to
satire?
Yeah, it's a satire. Is he going to bring some of that to Vietnam, or is he going to approach it more seriously like some of his other movies?
It's probably going to be mixed of both, because this is another thing that I know about this movie. It's kind of in two different parts. You get the introduction of all of the characters, which, by the way, we haven't talked about any of the actors yet. It's divided up between the beginnings of all of these guys coming into boot camp, having their heads shaved, and just going through the motions of being in the military. The second half of the movie, my understanding, is very, very different.
You mean like Stripes? I'm going to keep coming back to this, and I'm just going to be proven.
Let's just have our Stripes moment here right now, Betsy.
So correct.
Betsy, Stripes is like a perfect 2/3 of a movie. Okay?
Yes.
Let's just have this out right now.
Okay.
Stripes is incredible. It's really, really funny. The first third of it is really funny, introducing everybody.
When they join the military, when
Yeah.
they're in boot camp, when they make it through basic training. Great movie. It's when they go on an actual mission that it
Yeah.
goes off the rails and we're like, what the fuck is this movie?
You have completely lost me at that point when they actually go on a mission and they're expected to actually succeed. But I don't know. I don't want to talk about Stripes here. We're here to talk about Full Metal
I'm
Jacket.
just saying, when we watch this, if it turns into a movie that is like Stripes, I'm going to have so many more things to say about it.
Maybe this is going to be like that fucking, it's the movie that came before Fast and the Furious.
Point Break?
Point Break. It's
Oh,
going to
yeah.
be like Point Break.
But
where
because we got
can't-
to that one first.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really hard for us to get into Point Break, even though Fast and Furious completely rips off Point Break because we've seen Fast and Furious so many more times.
Yeah.
So I hope
So it's-
that's not the case. I think
It's not
I
a
can,
fair comparison.
No, and I think I can separate Stripes from Full Metal Jacket.
I hope so.
But not having seen it, I don't really know anything else about it. You mentioned the actors, which we should touch on before we begin.
Yes.
I only know the people I have seen in the last few days as it has been coming up in my wheelhouse as we're getting ready to record this. Matthew Modine, I know he's in it.
He is the star.
Vincent D'Onofrio, I didn't know that until about 2 days ago, though. And then the guy who is the drill sergeant, I don't know his name, but he was in an episode of The X-Files.
Of course, because everybody
I
who
will
was of
always
an age
find
was
a
in the
way
X-Files.
to bring it back to The X-Files.
All right, Betsy. Well, instead of talking about the X-Files, we're going to go and watch Full Metal Jacket. Stanley Kubrick. We're going to be right back. And we have returned from the shit. That was Full Metal Jacket. Betsy, how are you feeling after that one?
Well, I'm glad to say this is not Stripes.
It is very much
this is
not Stripes.
Quite different from Stripes. So that's out of the way. We won't have to talk about it anymore. Stanley Kubrick really knew how to make a movie, huh?
Yeah, he really did.
There's
yeah.
some stuff in this movie that I'm just going fucking mouth agape, amazed with how
Yeah.
good this looks, with how we just sort of get into it. We move along with the story, knowing basically nothing. We're just along for this ride. We're dropped in the middle.
What is the story in the first part? Now, we do have to delineate here what we are talking about. Like the movie overall, yes, all of these things apply. But as far as like when we're talking about the story, there is a part 1 and then there is a part 2. So I just want to make sure that everybody is realizing when we are talking about each thing, what we're going to try to be specific anyway.
Well, again, I hope if you're listening, you've seen Full Metal Jacket and you know what the
Obviously.
hell we're talking about.
Obviously. So yeah, Betsy, I'm completely in agreement with you. This is an incredibly, it looks incredible. It sounds incredible. I really, really do like a lot of the acting. And the one thing that it was just echoing in my brain almost the entire way is holy shit, how many filmmakers looked at this movie and just imitated everything that Kubrick was doing.
This and the rest of his movies, frankly. Because
Well, yes, I'm just talking about war movies in general.
okay, sure. But I'm looking at this just realizing that word that comes up, Kubrickian. Like the fact that he is a
Yes.
director that has his own descriptor. There are telltale signs, like things that he loved to do all over this movie. And it's sort of a cross section where it's between the eeriness and the creepiness of The Shining and the humor and cynicism of Dr. Strangelove. It's sort of in that cross section where there are moments in this movie that straight up shocked me. I was shocked when
Yeah.
things happened. It's also fucking funny at times. It's really a weird movie in that way.
It's kind of that attitude where The characters are kind of looking around each other and saying, this is stupid. What the fuck are we even doing here?
Is this even
is
real?
Silly. This is silly. What are we doing here? So, I mean, not having seen a whole lot of Kubrick movies, I was still getting a whole lot of the touchstones here. One thing that you forgot to mention, you had actually seen 2001: A Space Odyssey.
I don't know why I forget that one,
Yeah.
but yes, I have seen that one beginning to end one whole time.
And I haven't seen it the entire way through. I maybe sat down to watch that maybe the first 20 minutes at one time in my life, but I've never seen the entirety of it. But that all being said, I could tell some of the long corridor shots, some of the shots of all of the men in the bunk area where the lighting is such that you can see everything. One really fascinating thing that I read about this movie, and once I read it, I could not stop looking at it. Kubrick on the camera is using a specific lens that keeps everything in focus. Everything that you are trying to capture in this kind of bigger space, every single character's face is in focus. You can look at everybody's face and know who they are.
In the background.
In the background, in the foreground, everything. This was meant to invoke the idea that nobody in this room is special. We are not focusing on one or two soldiers here. Everybody is special and nobody is special.
And he's also making a statement about this anonymity that everyone has because we don't know anybody's names.
Yeah.
Nobody has a fucking name. They immediately, the second they are joining up in the Marine Corps, they lose their humanity. They lose their own identity because it's all about becoming part of the group.
It's stripped away.
It's stripped away. You are no longer a human being. You are a maggot. You are a grunt.
I don't like your name. I'm going to call you something else.
I'm going to give you all different names. And then they adopt that persona the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
None of them ever say their name. Not one except Lawrence. He's the only one that we get a name for.
Right.
And it's because it's signifying what's going to happen with him later.
Yeah, in the scene where they're mopping up the bathroom area, Joker says, "Oh yeah, Lawrence, I think he's kind of going batty a little bit here." And then they kind of move on from it. But at no other time are they referring to each other as their Christian names.
Their Christian names.
Yes. But yeah, everybody has their own kind of nickname. And that is how, not only do they call themselves that just in person, like in a friendly way, but they also call each other that over the radio. In the second half of the movie, when Joker and other people are on the radio, they say, "Hey, this is Joker. I need some tanks over here," or whatever they do.
There's a lot of themes about like self-identity and humanity and things like that throughout this. That's the one that's just beating you over the head. Like, you are not an individual, you are a part of the group, and frankly, whoever you are is fucking gone now. You are now this new person entirely.
And it wastes no time. The movie starts immediately with everybody getting their head shaved, which is a thing that a lot of these kinds of movies do when you are trying to do exactly that. You are trying to strip away your individuality. You're not allowed to have an identity through your haircut. You are a maggot. And that is what the drill instructor is trying to drill into you.
You wear the same uniform, you act the same way. You all have to respond the same way in every situation.
You drone on spouting the same lines over and over again. You all memorize the same I don't even know what you call it, the things that they repeat to each other.
Recitations, we'll say.
Yes.
Or in the drill sergeant's definition, prayer.
I suppose, yeah. They are praying to their rifle. They're praying to...
Yeah, he says, "Okay, now everyone pray." And they go, "This is my rifle." And they recite the whole thing. They're not saying,
my rifle.
They're
this
not
is my
saying
gun.
prayers to God.
No.
They are literally praying to their own weapon and the Marine Corps and being part of this unified group.
And I don't know the origin of that thing. It's "This is my rifle. There are many like it, but this one is mine." And it keeps on going from there. I have heard that in other movies of this type, and I don't know if it's from the movie or if it's just a fucking Marine thing.
Trent, the fact that the guns are given names and that they say they are alike, but this one is mine, there is more individuality to the weapons in this movie than there are the soldiers.
Also, respect. Apparently, there is a cut scene here where there's a confrontation between the drill sergeant and somebody, I don't know who, but the person named their rifle bitch, and the drill sergeant goes after him. You need to respect your rifle. How dare you call your rifle that? You need to give it a name that is actually endearing and not something that is derogatory.
You want to love your weapon. You need to love your weapon because that is why you are here.
This is your tool that will allow you to survive.
And meanwhile, in this entire first section, they're all being trained to become soldiers, and everybody's like, I'm a killing machine. I'm here to kill. I want to join because that's my destiny. That's what I'm supposed to do, is be a killing machine, be the weapon, be the vessel. And then when we get there, it's all of the counter things. Oh, this isn't at all what I thought it was going to be like. And nobody's like, Matthew Modine doesn't kill anybody. He has no confirmed kills, even though he says, I'm a killing machine, and I want to be
to kill on his helmet.
I want to be the first one on my block with a confirmed kill. Like he has this idea in his head that that is what he's supposed to want, that is what he wants to be. And it's the climax of the movie where he actually has to face that. But they play around with the themes of it before, like he's wearing the peace pin and he's talking about the duality of man.
Yeah.
Kubrick's being very literal here with the conflict that we're going to be experiencing.
Yeah, totally. And also, just to reinforce this, all of these people are enlisted men.
These are the really hardcore guys who still believe in why we were going over. And Kubrick addresses that too in the movie, where they even have a film crew interviewing all the different soldiers in Vietnam.
Yep.
Asking them, should we be here? Why are we here?
What do you think about all this?
Like, they literally have the line, I won't use the word that they use frequently in the movie, the anti-Vietnamese slang
it's
term,
all over the place.
But they say inside every is an American wanting to get out.
Yeah,
There's
that was one of the things that I wanted to really mention here. You know, talking about how the humanity is kind of drained from everybody involved in this conflict on both sides. And one of the guys says, you know, these Vietnamese people would rather just be alive than be free. They're comparing the people who we are invading to Americans. And why wouldn't you want to be like us? Because we're all kick-ass. We got all the freedom in the world. Why wouldn't you like that? Why aren't you joining us to be like us?
We came over here. We're trying to give you freedom. And it's like they don't even want us here.
Yeah.
They're so ungrateful.
Yeah. Meanwhile, you have this other scene here. I know we're kind of bouncing back and forth here, but we have the scene here where Joker happens upon this fucking mass grave. And there's even a little bit of a voiceover from him talking about it. And he's being talked to by this other commanding officer that isn't his commanding officer.
He's interviewing him.
Yeah. But at the same time, he's asking him, what is that peace button on your lapel and whatnot? He says, I don't know. Well, you have Born to Kill on your helmet. How many people have you killed? I don't know. It's like, it's all of these things that don't really go together. And that commanding officer says, you know, we are here to help all of these Vietnamese people. Meanwhile, they're standing in front of a pile of dead bodies.
Well, and the guy he was talking to right before that is getting his picture taken.
Yeah.
So while he's explaining what happened here, he just keeps like pausing mid-sentence to smile at the camera. Like, Kubrick absolutely sees the humor and the irony. This movie is very ironic.
It's not humorous.
If it is nothing else, this movie is ironic as shit.
Yeah.
And he knows it because he's saying, look at this guy in front of a mass grave smiling while he gets his picture taken.
And that guy is telling the story about, I don't know the exact thing, but he says something about, we invited like 100 Vietnamese to go to this thing, and everybody who came in there got shot. Essentially inviting all of these people in to get slaughtered.
There's also a comment as we're talking about, you know, should Americans be here and, you know, why is this all happening and how do you feel about it? Because they're asking these soldiers frequently at this part of the movie, like, what do you think of your situation and what's going on here? And this is where the war is already unpopular. And they say it many times. This is an unpopular war. Like, one of the soldiers goes so far as to say, I don't know if we should be in Vietnam, but I know I'm supposed to be in Vietnam.
Right.
Which is a twisted thing to say.
Like, I don't know why all you other fuckers sign up to do all this stuff. I came here to kill people.
Oh, yeah. Adam Baldwin says something to the effect of, we're not here. This isn't about freedom. This isn't about bringing them freedom.
No.
This is a slaughter. We are here for that. Everybody's opposing opinions about why they're here because nobody fucking knows.
There's also the scene of them when the journalists are sent away on another mission. They get onto this helicopter, and this fucking guy is shooting this. I don't even know what caliber of machine gun it is. A huge gun at all of these innocent people out in these fields. Like it's nothing. And like it's any other Tuesday afternoon.
And he's justifying it because he says if they run, well, they're a bad guy. If they don't run, they're a convincing bad guy trying to look innocent.
They got training, or like they're very skilled at being,
And I've got like 157 kills, men, women, children, I don't care.
Yeah, and
Joker you should
asked
put me in the paper.
Yeah, Joker asked him, well, how do you kill women and children? Well, it's easy. You just don't lead them that much. And he smiles and laughs like it's nothing. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's when I say this movie is funny, it's not funny like that's hilarious. It's more I'm
You're kind of amazed. You're amazed at the brazenness that everybody is acting.
The audacity of the humor. And it's sometimes so dark, you cannot help but laugh because it's so dark.
Comparing this to Platoon, Platoon is very heavy-handed and it is very serious. It's treated very seriously. Kubrick is kind of treating this more as a movie and trying to bring the audience in and not necessarily outrage them at what they are witnessing, but he's playing it up for the camera. Yes, people have heard over the decades how many atrocities that the American military performed on the Vietnamese people. People know all about that. But in 1987, you had really only had one very, very serious look at Vietnam, and that was Platoon. It came out the year before. Obviously, this movie took a very, very long time to make because it's fucking Stanley Kubrick.
Couldn't just crank it out. Not his style.
Yeah, but I don't think that movie audiences were really prepared for a movie like this because, yes, you have the first part with everybody going through the basic training, and I think in 1987, the vast majority of the people who are going to see this movie have gone through basic training because everybody had to be a part of it. So you're getting the relatable stuff to your audience out of the way right away. You get some of the humor, but then you actually go into the shit. And before we get way into that, I think this is a good time for a break. We're going to be right back after a word from our sponsor. This season, give yourself the gift you've always wanted. It's not a new car, and certainly not diamond jewelry. It's premium podcasts from the industry's leading connoisseurs of conversation. For only $5 a month, you will receive the most privileged access to their entire catalog. Patreon.com/NeverSeenItPod. Only the best for the discerning listener. So as I said, the second half of the movie is very reminiscent of other war movies that I have seen over the years. A lot of them we have covered for this show. I could just list them off here, like a Black Hawk Down, like Saving Private Ryan, and especially a very recent movie, 1917, especially after we get to kind of the ending sequence of the second half of the movie where we get the sniper and people are pinned down and we're trying to find the sniper.
And it's getting dark and there's smoke and buildings are on fire.
Yeah, it's starting to get dark. There's fire everywhere. And there are all these tracking shots of the men. If you have not seen 1917, don't worry about the fact that it's about World War I. The fact that it's World War I and that war is kind of boring to American eyes, don't worry about it. It's made by Sam Mendes. He's an incredible filmmaker. But were there other movies that you were kind of thinking about as well?
I mean, it's hard to watch a war movie and not just think of 50 other war movies, whether
Yeah.
it has anything to do with Full Metal Jacket or not.
I
Like
yeah.
there's a scene, you haven't seen this movie, in Atonement, where it's World War II, they're on the beach, and there's this really long single shot tracking shot through the beach, through all the people that are just gathered there, all the
Yeah.
military. And he does so many of these long tracking shots, Kubrick does in Full Metal Jacket, that it's really impressive that you are able to capture so much action, and every inch of the screen there's something going on. Like you touched on the camera thing, the lens he's using.
Yep.
Before you told me that, because you actually kind of paused the movie to tell me that because you were reading it. Before you told me that, I already subconsciously knew this information because I was just marveling at how much shit there always was way off in the background during boot camp.
Because you
all the
could,
time.
you could focus on it.
Now, you could say, oh, it's because we're watching it in high def and it's the glory of 2025 and having that ability. But no, you would have been able to see this at the time he made the movie.
And it was intentional.
Intentionally. He's just like a fucking painter with his camera.
Yeah.
Like so much intention to
Yeah.
these scenes.
And thinking about just war movies in general, the ones that I listed off and other ones I can't really think of right now because it's late and I'm tired. But I would say in 1987, this might have been the kickoff of what the modern war movie is going to look like for the next 40, 50 years.
I mean, I definitely understood your reference to Saving Private Ryan, like when they're moving around those dilapidated buildings and there's snipers and there's a lot of chaos.
The tanks coming in. Yeah.
I also thought of Children of Men.
Yep.
Like that final scene where they're going through this long tracking
Speaking
shot.
of long tracking shots.
Yeah. So it's just telltale things like that. Whether it has anything to do with this movie in particular, I don't know. But you could just say that about Kubrick in general, because Kubrick loved to do that. I was looking at this movie thinking of The Shining, like, oh, he did kind of a similar thing in that.
Yep.
The thing I kept thinking about most when it was coming to The Shining was every time D'Onofrio was getting closer and closer to going full on nuts because he's zooming in so close on his face.
Yeah.
And he's got that crazed look in his eyes, same as Jack Nicholson in The Shining.
You're right,
So I'm like,
and-
yeah, I fucking know what's going to happen because I have seen The Shining. Or some version of what I thought was going to happen. I knew nothing good.
Yeah. And I really appreciated a lot of the early training sequences where everybody's climbing up on the ropes and the wood and
The obstacle course.
all of the obstacles that they're climbing up. All of these shots that he is doing here where you know that they are training at all hours of the day and night.
In
and
the rain, in the mud.
all of that stuff that is also covered in the movie Stripes. But in this movie, you also get the beautiful, beautiful shots of all of the sunsets. There's so many of those in this movie, and it just looks gorgeous, especially that first one of the silhouette of everybody climbing that thing. It's one of the best shots in the movie.
I also like how dynamic it is with some people are going up the ropes and some people are coming down the ropes. So there's just a lot of chaos as so many people are doing the same thing, but
Yep.
slightly different tempos. Because again, we're making these guys a group. We're not going to be individuals. They are not individualized in this film,
Yeah.
in this Marine Corps. You are a part of the group.
But as we are kind of progressing through this first part of the movie, you are also noticing the one person that is singled out, and that is Vincent D'Onofrio. I might say Vincent D'Onofrio has the best performance in the entire movie.
He's the one who gets to perform. Everybody else has to be part of the group, and all they do is yell, "Sir, yes, sir."
They're the
or
ones who are absorbing all this shit.
They jump into command when their commanding officer dies. It just keeps happening, and they keep reacting because these are the guys that are meant for this, whether they want to be or not. Like you said, they signed up for it,
Yep.
and they're here now, so they've committed to it. Whereas Vincent D'Onofrio is clearly struggling. And Joker is given the task of getting him up to code, like get him ready. He has to learn how to hold his gun. He has to learn how to march. He has to learn how to dress. Get him up over the fucking obstacle course.
And the drill sergeant here does a good job of identifying the fact that Joker would be a good fit to help him because they get along. And Joker, when they go through that whole thing about the Virgin Mary, where he actually stands up for himself and doesn't back down, the drill sergeant identifies, hey, this guy could actually lead this group because he's not backing down from me. So at that point, it's on Joker to try to get him to go. And he does. He does have some skill with the rifle. He eventually gets over the obstacles and everything like that. He gets assigned to a unit. But of course, with a guy like this who is maybe not all the way there, the next day, his life is going to change. He is not going to have Joker there with him anymore to help him out.
It's the Shawshank Redemption thing. He's become institutionalized.
Yeah.
He's become
He's
part
forced
of it.
into it.
Even though he's still not very good at it. He somehow managed to get through this program.
But he's
made
not
it to
bought
the
in.
end.
He's not completely bought in. There's some moments here where everybody is chanting along with the drill sergeant, and you can tell he's center frame. He is not reciting it. He's not saying it.
No, and we see him so many times throughout the movie where he's being publicly humiliated. He has to sit there and suck his thumb or march with his pants around his ankles.
Yeah.
Or he's about to cry, or he looks insane. Like he is just off in his own world.
Humiliated day after day after day.
And this is the big conversation, I'm sure, that comes out of this movie for every single person who talks about it, and it's the drill sergeant. I can't help but be of two minds. Like, this guy is a fucking hard ass. And he says right at the beginning of the movie, he has this big opening monologue, you're gonna hate me. And the more you hate me, the more you will learn. It's the problem of like Whiplash, that teacher in Whiplash.
Yeah, yep.
He's a piece of shit.
The tough love.
Who is tough love. Now, in the context of learning to drum, that goes too far. In the military, though, especially in these days, I'm not saying I condone it, but I at least understand it. Like the Marine Corps,
played up for the movie.
Marine Corps is like the fucking hardest of the hard.
Totally.
And so you need to weed out the guys who aren't going to cut it because your life will be in their hands someday. And if that guy's going to fail you when the shit is really real, they shouldn't be here.
Yeah, as
so
I said.
I get the frame of mind why he's acting this way, but he goes really fucking far.
Yeah, he plays it up for the movie, for the camera. The guy himself was a drill sergeant, so a lot of the dialogue here, and this is very against Stanley Kubrick for allowing this to happen. A lot of the dialogue was worked on by this guy, and there's actually some improvisation happening here too. Again, something that Kubrick did not allow on his movie sets, but because the guy was the real deal, he allowed it to happen, and it's so much better for it.
And I said in the intro that I thought he had been nominated for an Oscar. He was not, but the thing I did know, he is the real deal. That's where my brain was going. There was something about this man. He was a Marine. He was this guy. He was in the Marine Corps, and he's the realest character in the movie because he understands it, because he is this.
And the other thing that I read in the IMDb trivia was the fact that he's kind of puzzled by how people really like the character. He doesn't understand why anybody would like this guy because he's literally, beating his recruits and slapping people and whatever else. You are not allowed to do that in the military. You cannot assault other people. So he has said in interviews that, no, this guy would have been run out on a fucking rail if this is actually how it was done. And I am trying to portray this guy as a fucking asshole.
There's motivating people and there's torturing people. And what he is doing is crossing the line into he is just fully torturing these guys.
Right.
And I get why people say, oh, they like him, quote unquote. He's funny. He's got the funniest lines in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Especially when you're just dropped in and this is the first introduction to the movie you have, is this guy just making up names for them and calling them pieces of shit. Yeah, it's funny because you're uncomfortable.
It's very
what?
creative in the way that he is using the English language. Like, I've got some quotes here like you will be a minister praying for war. There's a whole lot of religious stuff in here as well. I don't know if you picked up on a lot of that.
Oh, yeah. Your God is this weapon. Your God is this war. Your God is the Marine Corps. Nothing else exists outside of it.
And you yourself are not a person anymore. You are a Marine, and you will never die because the Marines will never die. Again, it is just stripping your humanity out of you and giving it to the Marine Corps and giving it to your commanding officers. But by the end of the movie, pretty much all of the officers who are in charge get killed. And by the end here, everybody's kind of going after themselves and revenge.
Well, before we move away from the beginning part of the movie, this is the portion of the film that shocked me, is when we finally get to the end of Act 1, where we are no longer grunts. We have been given our assignments, and starting tomorrow, everybody goes their separate ways. Joker has night patrol, and he finds Lawrence in the bathroom, and Lawrence has gone full on. And this is where that phrase, Full Metal Jacket, comes in. He says, yeah, I've got this weapon. He's got live rounds. I knew he was going to do something because Stanley Kubrick would not be zooming in on his face so frequently, looking really disturbed, if it was going to end well for him. What I didn't expect and somehow did not know is that he kills the drill sergeant and then kills himself.
I did not know that either. I have seen this visage of Vincent D'Onofrio in other things.
On the toilet,
I've heard him talking
bathroom.
about in the shit. I am in the shit. This phrase I have heard many, many times in other media, but I did not know that it came from this movie or this scene in particular.
And I didn't know that this is what happens to those two characters.
Absolutely not.
Of everything I've ever heard of this movie, somehow that wasn't spoiled for me, and it shocked me.
Yeah, and then we fucking fade out at 45 minutes into the movie, and then all of a sudden we're in Vietnam.
And we've been there for a while. Because
3 months,
his
I think
hair
they
is
say.
grown out now.
Yeah.
He's very comfortable where he is. He is unsurprised by anything going on around him. A guy steals his camera. Ha!
Speaking of other phrases that we did not know came from this movie, is me so horny, me love you long time.
I had no idea. Well, and there's little things like when he said his name is Joker, I was like, oh yeah, I have heard that there's a guy called Joker in this movie. Or that he's a journalist. Here we go again, Trent.
Yeah, it's another fucking journalism movie.
Third time this series.
What the
Somebody
fuck?
reporting the news in whatever way they decide.
Oh my God. Yeah, he is actually a part of the Stars and Stripes. Are you aware of Stars and Stripes?
No.
It was a real newspaper made for the military people.
Was it made for the troops to kind of tell them, well, look, guys, everything's so good.
Yeah, it is kind of like internal propaganda. As the editor, I think he's considered the editor of that. As he was saying, well, we need to have stories about, hey, the soldiers are out here winning hearts and minds, but at the same time, we also need to put stories in here about, American kick-ass.
Yeah, they had a confirmed kill because if we say nothing happened, that's really boring.
Yeah.
Give him like a high-ranking person.
Yeah, you can infer that, yes, there was a death that happened here.
A single death, and it was somewhat like a lieutenant or something. I
Sure,
don't know.
make it a general.
Yeah.
And the fact that Joker says, yeah, I took a high school journalism class once, and that's enough to put you into this other unit. You have a similar story. Your grandpa.
Well, kind of, yeah. He was in Korea.
Yep.
And I'm sure I've talked about this in some
context. I know you have, but still.
But he went over, he got off the boat, they lined him up on the dock and basically said, who here knows shorthand? And it was my grandpa and one other guy. And they got to go work in the office while the rest of his unit went and got blown to hell, basically.
Yeah.
That's what happened to him in Korea. So sometimes it's just fucking dumb luck. Like Joker clearly went in with the intention of, I want to fight, but also maybe I don't want to fight. And everything's really funny to him. Like every situation, he finds a way to make a joke.
Clearly he is an intelligent person.
Yeah.
So he can talk about the duality of man and all this other kind of highfalutin shit. And he knows to question some of the things that the editor is talking about. He gets to be a little bit cynical here, and I kind of like it.
Is he cynical or is he a realist?
I'm shrugging my shoulders here.
I think everybody here is fucking cynical.
Yeah, you kind of have to be at a certain point. But man, I mean, we could keep on going here, Betsy, because I'm going to ask you this. Do you like this movie? Do you think that this is a movie that you would sit down and watch again? Because we've kind of talked about that with the other ones here. I really didn't like a couple of them that we've watched so far, but I think if I'm going to go first here, I think I would watch this one again.
I agree with you for a lot of reasons. One, because it got a reaction out of me. It is in the canon of Stanley Kubrick, where if you have seen one or two of his movies, or at least have heard about him as a director and the kind of movies he makes and how he films them and just the reputation, it lives up to the reputation. So I think I had sort of an idea of what the mood would be, and it met that mood. It is playing up the psychological, which I think is interesting.
Without going overboard.
No, there is some really eerie stuff in this movie, and it gets really dark. But he also knows he can't go full dark. We're going to make it funny sometimes. But also, he has a lot of themes that we're talking about. You know, the duality of man. You can see it literally played out in Matthew Modine versus Vincent D'Onofrio. Those are two completely different sides of the coin.
Yeah.
And the things that could happen to a person under the same set of circumstances. Those two guys were treated the same with very small difference. Like the only reason D'Onofrio gets it worse is because he's, quote, fat. He's the fat guy. And so he gets treated more roughly. And then he's not very bright. Vincent D'Onofrio is the dumb guy and the fat guy. And Matthew Modine is the smart guy and the skinny guy. And he is better suited for this. But neither of them gives up. That's the thing. They make it all the way to the end. And it's not until Matthew Modine is faced with an actual opportunity to kill somebody, and he doesn't do it because he wants to kill them. He does it out of mercy.
Yeah.
The fact that his confirmed kill is a mercy killing. That is the swing of the people in this movie.
And you go back to the end of Act 1, you know, you're thinking, okay, everybody graduated here. Everybody's moving on to their next assignment. It should be a joyous occasion when the person that was being left behind this entire time needs a whole lot of extra help here, and nobody seems to be doing anything about it. One of the other things that this drill sergeant said outside of the movie is, you know, he's a really bad drill sergeant because he's not noticing that the Vincent D'Onofrio character, he is really going off the deep end here, and I should have done something about it.
He's supposed to be a coach. He's not supposed to be, you know, a fucking slave driver. He is supposed to be helping these guys get better.
You're not just trying to shit them out the door and, okay, you're on to the next thing. I guess you graduate, fine, whatever. No, you need to train them into being a fighting force. And if one person in that fighting force is not up to snuff, you need to wash them out.
People do, in fact, need positive reinforcement on occasion.
And he does. He says when he's firing the rifle,
he's finally found something you're good at
it. Yes.
But it's too little too late at that point. But to go back to your question, yeah, there's things like that. There's a lot of thematic things that I feel like you could really sink your teeth into if you watch this movie again. It looks insane. The movie from beginning to end, the number of times I was like, that's a great shot. That's a great shot. That's a great shot. The score, when there is a score, is really eerie. When
there's hardly any music in the movie.
But when there is a song with words, it is so fucking counter to what we're expecting. And I thought of Civil War because they had that moment where there's a really weird music thing that happens. And we were both like, what the fuck? They do it like 7 times in this movie. Fucking the bird is the word.
Yep.
While there's
surfing
like
bird.
Dead bodies being carried out. Like, what am I watching?
Yeah.
So all of these reasons, it's just structured extremely well. And it made me think about a lot of things. And he is saying a lot by saying very little, but look at all the stuff we picked up on in one viewing.
Oh yeah, like we can start wrapping up here and just talk about the stuff that we haven't mentioned yet. Speaking of it, just looking incredible. The tracking shot. This is in the second half of the movie where Joker is going along with this group. There's tanks everywhere. It's where all the palm trees are. It's the shot that is perpendicular to how they are walking. They're going from left to right, and you can see all the trees, you can see all the men, you can see all the tanks, just kind of going from left to right. That, I think, is one of the greatest things in the movie. But there's one more here that I need to mention. It's when the guy, 8-Ball, he goes out to check this city for whatever. He goes up by himself and he gets shot by the sniper. But before he gets shot, the camera is kind of zooming out, and then ever so slowly, the gun is revealed on camera. That was so goddamn impressive.
There's also that moment a little bit before that where they're getting closer to the building because they're kind of under attack.
Yep.
And they have a mobile camera just running low next to them.
Yeah.
Like, again, very in the shit with them. It's not a steady cam. It's just a guy squatting down and you feel like you're one of the soldiers.
Betsy, of course I have to bring this to video games because
Of
I have
course
to.
you do.
I have to. I haven't actually played the game all that much, but a lot of these camera shots remind me of the game Gears of War, where it's kind of exactly like that. It's called a roadie run.
It's a military tactic.
Yes, you are literally just kind of running along, lumbering along with all of your equipment because, hey, it's really fucking heavy. And
you're trying to be low.
Yeah, a guy who is holding a camera like that, that's how he would hold it. Yeah, a lot of video games were rolling through my head as well. But Betsy, what else did you have to talk about?
I mean, to bring it back to Platoon, the second there was quiet in this movie and that guy's like, oh, a stuffed rabbit, I'm going to pick it up. I was like, quit picking shit up, because that happened in Platoon and it happened in this one where there's a bomb underneath.
Yep.
They are booby trapping the shit out of this place.
One, the same scene that I was just talking about when 8-Ball runs out there by himself, we were just kind of staying behind. The camera stays behind and you can see him running. And I'm like, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, what's going to happen?
The sound design is very, very good because there are moments of absolute silence in the movie.
I
where
was
you
riveted.
know,
This final scene here, I was
Yes.
fucking riveted the entire time.
and when they get up into the building and the sniper is a woman and his gun jams and he just sort of freaks out. Like the moment that Joker has an opportunity to prove himself a real soldier, a real killer.
And time is running out.
And
because
time is running out.
That wall is crumbling and she is going to get through eventually.
Yeah, and she hurt him, so she's gonna get him before he can get her. He drops his weapon, he panics, he's fumbling with his other gun, and then it's the other guy who takes her out. But again, it's this look where he's face to face with it. And they're all like, what's she doing? Oh, she's praying. But she's not. She's basically saying, please, mercy, I'm dying, please kill me. And she's looking at the camera, which is looking him in the face saying, shoot me, shoot me, shoot me. And half of the guys in that room were like, fucking leave her here. And
let her suffer.
Let her suffer.
essentially.
And Joker says, we cannot leave her like this. Like he has some shred of human decency still left in him. And he uses it to end her life. And it is a really weird way to end the movie from the message that you're being told at the beginning.
Oh yeah.
But it's potent. It's a potent message. It's a very big reaction. Like it's given me many, many things to think about. And I don't want to end on that note. I want to end on a lighter note. There's so many like weird cuts in the movie where we go from moments like that to something weird. That's not the end of the movie, because they end singing fucking MICKEYMOUSE. What the fuck?
Yeah. Speaking of fantastic shots, yes, they're walking in the middle of the night. The only thing that is illuminating them is the fiery blaze next to them, and they're singing the Mickey Mouse Club song.
Or like earlier in the movie, they're getting a speech about assassins who were trained by the Marine Corps. What do these men all have in common?
Right.
They were all trained by the Marines. They're great shooters.
They're not saying anything bad about these men. In fact, it's actually good things.
Yep.
They were trained very well by the Marines.
And then cut to happy birthday, dear Jesus.
Yes.
Happy birthday to you.
Yeah.
Like,
some of the tonal shifts here
what?
are really fucking funny.
Which is why I'm saying there's this really dark humor throughout the movie.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard not to laugh, but also you almost feel bad laughing.
Yeah.
Because you are constantly being pulled back and forth between this is really freaking me out and also this is really funny because I was just being freaked out and now I'm singing to Jesus.
And even that Mickey Mouse song, it reminds you that all of these guys are really fucking young.
They're very young. They all grew up watching the Mickey Mouse Club.
Yeah.
And now they're in Vietnam.
All of them know it and all of them remember it. Jesus.
Again, you could do a whole deep dive on the single-mindedness of that. Like everybody shares this experience of watching the Mickey Mouse Club.
Right.
And now we're translating it to the shared experience of war.
Yeah,
like that's a weird jump.
A strange thing to really think about here. But yeah, the monoculture of the 1960s, 70s, 80s, and 90s really was really a thing.
The boomers all were one.
Yeah, but all right, Betsy. Full Metal Jacket.
I ain't mad about
this
it,
one
Trent.
is going to stick with me for a while.
I've got many, as I said, I have many things to think about.
Yeah.
And if we come back and listen to this like months from now when we're doing our year end, I'm probably going to think of something that I didn't realize at the time or just in the coming days. I often do that if a movie sticks with me.
Yeah. And you know what, Betsy? This is also less than 2 hours long.
Yeah. It's a weird kind of a movie because sometimes just when it was starting to feel like it was dragging, it would pick up
Something
again.
would happen.
Something
Exactly.
would happen. Like
Yeah,
the
pacing,
drag,
very good. Yeah.
the drag was very intentional. It wasn't that it was getting boring. It was that we need to slow this down because we're about to slap you in the fucking face.
All right. That's going to have to do it for Full Metal Jacket. Guys, if you would like to tell us what you thought about Full Metal Jacket, about Stanley Kubrick, what other Kubrick movies should we watch? Because I know there's a lot of them that we have not seen. Email all of that stuff to neverseenitpod@gmail.com. However, we don't have any emails that we're going to read today, but Betsy has some comments and other just stuff that we've gotten on our social media pages. So Betsy, take it away.
Yeah, so first up, we've got some comments about Civil War. So that was the third movie we did in this series. From Heather J. Stewart, our friend and fan. She said that she had that one in her top 10 of the year. Also, that Jesse Plemons is the MVP.
Can't argue against that. Also, yeah, that is kind of strange. I mean, Civil War was one of those movies from last year that kind of, it got put out and forgotten about. It was kind of divisive. Also, it was an election year talking about Civil War. It's very strange. But yeah, go and listen to that and watch the movie. I enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, speaking of that, we got another comment from 2 Cents Critic Pod. They said, I fairly liked it, incredibly tense, but it's also too politically shallow and centrist.
I get that, but because Alex Garland had another perspective here, as we said in the episode,
you can listen to the full thoughts.
Yeah, there's
a reason for it.
It is not a political movie. It does not have a political message. The message is about how important journalism is. And wartime journalism being the most important, at least in my opinion anyway.
And finally, we got a comment from Andrew Corns, frequent collaborator and friend at the Revisionist Almanac. He said about Civil War, impeccable sound design. Plemons steals the movie with one scene, and he overall appreciates it.
That is a fair statement. Thanks, Andrew, and everybody else who had their thoughts about Civil War. But Betsy had something else?
Yeah, we also got a comment about Charlie Wilson's War. So that was the second movie we did in our series. From Movies for Days. They said, only saw it once, and it really didn't click with me. I've thought about revisiting it several times, but Sorkin has not aged well with me, and I'm less inclined to bother looking back at his work these days.
That's really interesting. You know, I said in the episode, I'm not going to spoil what I said about Aaron Sorkin, but I have seen better Aaron Sorkin works, but I think his work, it works better in the time that it is meant for. So really, I'm talking about if you saw Charlie Wilson's War at the time it came out
in 2007,
it would have hit a whole lot different than in 2025. Obviously, I've got hindsight. I know what the Iraq and Afghanistan wars have done. We have gone through so much as a country, and even Aaron Sorkin himself, I'm sure, would look back on that and maybe say, I could have gone further or I should have held back. all sorts of stuff that he could have said about that. But because I've seen so many Aaron Sorkin things over the years of my life, and there's such a swath of time that he has covered in American history, it's at least fascinating to really look back on, not from a, analytical, critical point of view, but really just marveling at, this is what we were concerning ourselves. Like when we're talking about The West Wing, this is the shit that we were thinking about back in the late 90s and early 2000s when it came to politics anyway.
And you started watching that show a few months ago.
Unfortunately, I have never actually sat down to watch The West Wing. I know. I am ashamed.
People.
I am ashamed that I haven't gone into that more.
My sister in particular will be very upset to
know
this because she loves The West Wing.
Katie, I really want to sit down and watch The West Wing. And being that I am still unemployed, as I mentioned in the intro, I should probably do that. But hey, I'm trying to be a little bit productive at the very least.
Instead of just watching like 10 seasons of television.
Jesus. Yeah.
90s TV, early 2000s, which means they're long seasons too.
Yeah, they're hour-long episodes.
And there's like 20 of them.
Yeah, 45-minute episodes each. So I
That's
don't know.
a lot of TV.
I'm starting to really ride my indoor bike more, so maybe I can just throw one on and watch
there
it
you
that
go.
way.
Multitasking.
Yeah. Anyway, that's enough about me. There's so much.
And Aaron Sorkin.
That's right.
By golly.
But yeah, thanks everybody for sending in their thoughts. Again, if you would like to do the same thing, go to our social media pages. Betsy puts up all sorts of shit on there. Again, email address is neverseenitpod@gmail.com. We'll catch up with emails next week when we start our brand new series. Betsy, what are we starting up in September?
Trent.
Or should I call it?
Trent, we have something very exciting, if not just for us, but for our listeners. We're doing an actor series, and we have talked about this many times. Like, who are we going to cover? Who's got the breadth of the career that we want to have?
Yeah, and we did
cover.
We did a director series last year. We did Ridley Scott, and prior to that, we did, I think, 3 different actor series.
I mean, we did at least 2 because we did Nicolas Cage and Keanu Reeves.
And we did Tom Hanks.
I forgot about Thanksgiving. How could I forget Thanksgiving?
How could we forget about Thanksgiving? So, Betsy, we came up with yet another month-themed name for the series.
Yes, because next month is going to be Jeff-tember.
It's Jeff-tember, where we're covering Jeff Bridges movies.
Yes. Now, listen, it's Jeff Bridges. We're going to put a little pin in that because Jeff-tember might not just apply to him, but this time around.
We'll explain more
next week. But yes, we will be covering 5 Jeff Bridges movies in the month of September. And in the past, we've done this in chronological order, but we're not going to do that for Jeff Bridges because he's got such a big career. We're just going to arrange them in a way that we found aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, and when we've done actor series is in the past, we've done one movie from every decade of their career. But with Jeff Bridges, we've seen a lot of them. He has a long career. And yeah, we're going to be covering some big, big movies from Jeff Bridges.
The first one being from the 90s, we are going to be watching The Fisher King, a movie that neither of us has ever seen.
Also starring Robin Williams. We have never, ever covered a Robin Williams movie on this show. So come back in September. Week 1 is The Fisher King. But until then, my name is Trent.
My name is Betsy.
We'll catch you then. Bye-bye, Jeff-tember.